Best segment of the week, this one is, well, except for when there's at the track, because the busy British sporting summer continued on this Tuesday with day one of the Royal Ascot Racing Festival in the southeast of England. For the first time since the pandemic, fans returned to Berkshire County to watch the world's best equine athletes on the flat racing surface. In the first race on the card, the Queen Anne Stakes, trainer William Haggas's bay colt Baaeed was the howling favourite to make it 8 wins from as many starts in the hands of the press button specialist himself, Mr. Jim Crowley.
To get underway, all of the horses in the stalls for the Queen Anne, and they're off and racing. Accidental Agent jumps out okay. Sabuska was a little slow into stride, and through the early stages, Order of Australia in purple and white is the first one to show. Chindit in the striped colours in second place, and over on the far side races Real World in the Godolphin blue. Baaeed, blue with the white epaulets, tracks the leaders, racing in fourth with Accidental Agent, Lights On and Sabuska, the two that were slow away, bringing up the rear as they race through the first quarter mile. Order of Australia out in the lead for Ryan Moore, Real World in second, Chindit in third, as Order of Australia is just breaking over to the near side in company with Chindit, leaving two groups with Real World giving a lead to Baaeed and Lights On up the centre. The near side group, Order of Australia, Chindit, Accidental Agent and Sabuska, as they make their way down towards the final 4 furlongs in the Queen Anne. Order of Australia near side, but Real World possibly the overall leader, towing in Baaeed and Lights On, as in two groups they make their way down towards the final 3 furlongs. Real World out in the lead, Baaeed slipstreams him with Lights On. The near side group under the pump now, Order of Australia, as Chindit tries to improve. Still Baaeed waits in the slipstream of Real World as they move towards the final 2 furlongs, and now Baaeed is gradually moving out to challenge Real World. Order of Australia in third place, and once again Baaeed moves to the front in imperious fashion. There is a shake of the reins. The response is to go 2 lengths clear from Real World, and now Baaeed begins to extend. Real World is trying really hard, but it is push-button brilliance from Baaeed. He makes it look routine as he maintains his unbeaten record in the Queen Anne. Real World ran really well and got closer than Newbury in second. Order of Australia, Chindit, Lights On, Sabuska and Accidental Agent. It all seems so straightforward. He seems completely unruffled in his personality, in his demeanour. He moves forward. Jim Crowley can place him where he likes. He asks for a response. It's enough, and here he wasn't hard-pressed.
The British racing public love few things more than a flashy miler, and over the long, very, very long and glorious history lines of horse racing in Britain, they've had more than their fair share of flashy milers. And I'm not going to go too far back. I'm going to start with one of my favourite racehorses, Brigadier Gerard, who was a monster at a mile and a mile and a quarter as well. And we came up to arguably, well, not arguably, the greatest racehorse I've ever seen or even read about, Frankel, who was peerless at a mile. Baaeed now, people are saying, is he as good as Frankel? Is he Frankel-esque? I think that's blasphemy. But, he's very impressive, though.
Yeah, 8 wins in a row now for Baaeed, and the commentators, of course, SportsMax showing the Royal Ascot live every day until the weekend when the meet ends. And this horse is being labelled the best horse in the world at the moment.
Yes, which is why I started my comments the way I did.
Yes.
In Britain, the best horse in the land is usually the best miler. Especially if the miler is outstanding,
yes,
head and shoulders above the rest, they usually say that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a terribly fast time,
no.
1:37 and change,
yeah,
I think. But I hear jockeys now, including Patrick Husbands, the outstanding Barbadian rider, sometimes in post-race interviews saying, I rode the horse like he is the best horse in the race.
Yes.
And that's what Jim Crowley did.
Yes.
He knows he's on the best horse in the race, just measured the race, was patient, asked the horse for the effort, approaching the 2 furlong pole and ran away with it.
Yeah, and to be fair to Baaeed, if people were comparing times, and of course I'm not comparing him to Frankel, I don't believe he's in that sphere. But one of the things with the Frankel wins, the pace in the Frankel races were set at a much higher rate because Frankel had a pacemaker. His brother, Bullet Train, used to be sent as the rabbit by the trainer Sir Henry Cecil. So he would go and carry the pace lightning fast, running out, unhinging anything else who wanted to set the pace and then run on strong, and then he just come on at a certain point in the race and finish off the rivals. So Baaeed didn't have that advantage, so you have to make an allowance for the fact that the pace wasn't lightning fast, although it was steady. At 37 miles per hour, that's where they went.
Yeah, the commentators were very measured, though, George, when they were comparing Baaeed to Frankel. To be fair to them, the ones I heard, didn't suggest that he was in Frankel's class at the moment, but I think they were leaving room as a 4-year-old colt for him to improve even more, and maybe, just maybe, that was a narrative I got coming from the commentators this morning, that he could improve to get into Frankel's class.
The previous race he won, there were more cock-a-hoop about him and the Frankel comparison than they were today.
Yes.
But if anybody doubts Baaeed, doubts Frankel, just go back and look at how Frankel won this race at Royal Ascot years ago, and you'll see what I say.
End of discussion.
End of argument. Anyway, for the first time in 10 years, Australia, Aussie, produced a winner at Royal Ascot as the Speed Demon, I really mean that, Nature Strip, made hacks of rivals in the King's Stand Stakes over the 5 furlongs straight course.
James McDonald and Chris Waller is last in for the King's Stand Stakes. 5 furlongs take less than a minute to run, and they all burst out of the stalls. And slow away was Golden Pal. Golden Pal missed the start as Pontos and Winter Power are the first two to show, so it's the check runner. And at the back of the field, I think it's Cardham that might have unseated his rider coming out of the stalls as well. Nature Strip, Atlam Express, Golden Pal trying to recover as they make their way through the first couple of furlongs. Winter Power and Arecibo are over on the far side. Down the centre, Man of Promise leading the Royal Runner, King's Lynn. Nature Strip right up there with Pontos, and also making an international line on the stand side, Golden Pal. Atlam Express comes next with Equilateral. Twilight Calls is next as they make their way down inside the final couple of furlongs. Nature Strip has gone to the front in the King's Stand. Golden Pal is done. Winter Power, Arecibo on the far side. King's Lynn trying to get involved with Twilight Calls, and 'tis marvellous. It's Nature Strip out clear in the King's Stand by 2 lengths from Atlam Express. Twilight Calls, then behind these Equilateral. Salute a world-class sprinter. Nature Strip, a ripper in the King's Stand. The Twilight Calls, Atlam Express, and behind those Munista made late ground. Equilateral, St. Lawrence was next. They trail all the way back to Golden.
Yeah, no matter, Lance, how the British and Irish and French horses are doing, the Australians always believe that they'll have the edge where their best sprinters are concerned. So the conventional wisdom among the others is that the best Australian sprinter is better than the best sprinter from everywhere else. This horse that won today, Nature Strip, Lance, he's not a spring chicken, he's an 8-year-old gelding. This was his 39th career start, 22 victories now under his belt. He made that look as if those horses in the race had no business lining up beside him.
It was very, very impressive. Very, very impressive. A very strong, steady pace throughout, and had a lot of running at the end as well.
Yeah, 58 2/5 the final time.
Irad Ortiz was aboard the...
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
The favourite.
Irad
Ortiz, Eclipse Award Jockey of the Year in the USA, 3 of the last 4 years. What were the circumstances surrounding him leaving the US circuit for this Royal Ascot meet?
Yeah, well, he is very, very hot now. He's riding for Wesley Ward, has won so many races for Wesley Ward in the United States recently. Yes.
He
won with Mo Donegal on the weekend, didn't he? The Belmont Stakes, Ortiz did. So the fact is that he comes here in very good form. The trainer said, look,
I think it was brother that rode it though, Jose
Ortiz, beg your pardon, Ortiz there.
They ran 1-2, brothers,
right.
yeah.
So right. Yeah. So the fact is that Wesley Ward told Frankie Dettori, who usually rides for him and has won several big races for him at Royal Ascot, that look, Ortiz is hot right now. So I'm going to take all my horses, the 6 of them, I'm going to give Ortiz the ride on all of them.
Yeah, but just a quick discussion here on US riders going to the tracks in Britain, because they are vastly different. They are undulating, some of them. They go up a hill, and all kinds of American riders aren't accustomed to that. In my first job in the media, George, I would have mentioned to you a few times that Ed Barnes, who was my boss, and Cliff Williams, who was our racing expert, got into constant arguments about which riders are better, the North American riders or the British riders. At that time, Lester Biggett, Willie Carson, Pat Everywhere, the top jockeys in Britain. But, you know, Ed had a big argument because he was supporting the US riders. And when Steve Cawthon left the USA and went to Britain and started dominating, he said, I told you the Americans are better. But quite an adjustment for Ortiz to go to Royal Ascot to make the adjustment.
Absolutely so. Yes, the British riders. Oh, and this is the one argument I'll side against Ed on. I think the British riders are 39 times better than the American riders.
You agree with Cliff Williams then?
Yes. So even though a lot of what the best British riders know was taught to them by American riders, it's strange. Kieran Fallon has told the father that he wouldn't be the same jockey if he had not gone to the US. Frankie Dettori said he didn't know pace until he went to the US. There are so many things. The way that the jockeys ride. If this is the stirrup iron, British riders used to ride it. If this was their foot, the whole foot was in it, Mr. Director.
Yes.
The whole foot was in the stirrup iron.
Yes.
The American riders show that one of your toe needs to be right there. That's how.
The ball, like the front.
Not in the ball, just the toe lands. The toe is hooked in.
Yes.
So every British rider now rides like this. Previously, all the British riders rode with their foot in. So that's just different on how to balance horses.
Yes.
So the undulating tracks, I mean, a course will go, you'll go, for instance, the Epsom Derby. You go uphill for the first 2 furlongs, turn right, drift left, swing around a corner, go downhill, then go uphill at the finish. In the US it's just flat one way around. It's easy. All right. Oh, and of course, Golden Pal was the big favorite in that Kingston Stakes. Iran Ortiz, the howling favorite, but he missed the start. 99.9% of the times, it doesn't matter how good the horse is, if you miss the break going 5 furlongs, you're going to lose. Anyway, Charlie Appleby's, that's a trainer. His 2,000 Guineas hero, Coribus, was favored to become only the 16th horse in the post-war era to also land the St. James's Palace Stakes for 3-year-old colts. Over a mile. Let's see how he got on.
Angle in the race, moves forward into line. Now in goes Loose Sail into stall number 4. There is Kevin Manning on Wexford Native in stall 3. And so the last one about to step forward now. Last one going in is Coribus with William Buick. That's it. They're in the gate. And they're off in the Group 1 St James's Palace Stakes. Just hustled along early as Wexford Native to go the early gallop. And one of the first ones away is Loose Sail. He's been taken on towards the outside by My Prospero. And towards the inside is Ical. But it is Loose Sail who has the lead. Ical racing in second. My Prospero out wide in third. Wexford Native hustled up early but now lit up and keen. And also Coribus is very keen racing against the rail. The all-blue jacket in 5th position, and he's really straining the reins early. On his outside is New Energy. Another one who's keen in behind is Angel Blur. Then on the inside rail is Bayside Boy, who's racing alongside Mighty Ulysses. Frankie did not go on. In fact, he's sitting chilly towards the rear of the field. So too Berkshire Shadow, and the back marker is Mal June. They're very tightly grouped as they head now on inside the final 3.5 furlongs of the St James's Palace Stakes, and it is Ical on the inside of Loose Sail. These are still the first two. My Prospero just a length away towards the outside in third. William Buick in a pocket at the moment on Coribus, looking for racing room. So too is Wexford Native. Then towards the outside, Mighty Ulysses begins to unwind. New Energy is travelling really well in that red and yellow striped cap. That's Robbie Colgan, but they're racing inside the final furlong and a half. It's Loose Sail who has got the lead. Now Coribus has got a seam up against the inside rail. My Prospero is boxing on. Here's Mighty Ulysses down the wide outside. Berkshire Shadow is another one picking up. A half furlong to go. Coribus a slender lead. Loose Sail is gamely fighting back. My Prospero is there, and it's Coribus. Coribus has just got the head bob. Flying was Mal June, but Coribus got there. My Prospero, Loose Sail, and also Mal June all involved for the minors. But William Buick had to wait. He had to wait, and eventually the gap came. And when it came, Coribus, maybe workmanlike, but he has got...
Yeah, this was the race of the day in terms of excitement. It was a blanket finish. We call it that because if you had a blanket big enough, you could throw it over the first few past the post. About 6 horses involved in this, and then Berkshire Shadow on the outside in the red jacket, not too far from the first 6. But Lance, at the end, the 2,000 Guineas winner Coribus franking that form by getting the job done. It wasn't pretty, but it was successful.
Yeah, that's one of the races that would be a good advert for the sport, George, because as you mentioned, about 6 horses, they're finishing within about a length and a quarter of each other. And with an eighth of a mile to go, I didn't know who was going to win this race. Frankie Dettori was finishing fast on the outside. At one point in deep stretch, he looked as if he could have overhauled the leaders, but he wasn't able to, and it was a fighting effort from Coribus on the inside with Buick aboard that got the job done. But that was a riveting finish.
Yeah, and I'm sure Appleby in his post-race comments would say that the reason his horse ran the way it did, even though it won, The pace was slow. The early pace, 37 miles per hour. So he was tugging at the jockey because he wanted to go faster, but the rider didn't want him to go to the front to carry the pace, to make the pace. So he was holding him. But because the pace was so slow, the horse was fighting for its head. And he used up energy. Once the horse starts fighting the jockey, it's dissipating energy and not focusing on the gallop. And that's why he wasn't more efficient in the beating his chest. But he was mighty lucky because that horse, in the jockey in the yellow, My Prospero, was eating up the ground. And if Corribos had been boxed in a little bit longer, you could have been talking about a different... Look at this dive right at the end. The horse in yellow beside Corribos is leaping at him at the end.
Yes.
And I think he only got third, running on late.
Yeah, that was a thrilling
That
finish.
was a finish. Yep.
Thrilling finish.
But yeah, more Royal Ascot for you. Well, for every day of the festival,
Yes.
they actually will be live on SportsMax.
And a point of correction, George. Irad Ortiz, you're right, actually won.
Irad.
He rode
There you
Mo
go.
Donegal.
There you
But it
go.
was 1-2 between the two,
The
two
Ortiz
brothers.
So
the
Jose
Ortiz
was
brother.
second.
Jose was
There you
second,
go.
and Mo Donegal was on top with Irad Ortiz, yeah.
All right, fine. So Ortiz, very, very hot.
Yes.
With a very limp start to Royal Ascot. And I hope it doesn't affect his confidence. I hope he just says, you know what? The horse made the mistake. I didn't.
Yes. Tomorrow, the Prince of Wales' Stakes is the feature on the Royal Ascot. Second day, it's the big Group 1 event.
Yes.
I think it has about a 9:40 Jamaica time, 10:40 Eastern Caribbean time post.
Yeah.
But our coverage, as you know, starts from early in the morning, 7:30 or 8:30 Eastern
7:30
Caribbean time.
a.m. Jamaica time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time. The Prince of Wales Stakes.
Sir Michael Stout has an entry,
Bay Bridge.
Lance.
He is a monster of a horse. He won the last time. I think Ryan Moore rode him.
Yes.
He was monstrous in that race.
Yeah.
If I have my way, well, I wouldn't deny Sir Michael another Ascot win. Why would I? He's a Caribbean man.
He's actually the favorite at 5-2 in the forecast odds, and Ryan Moore will be riding.
What's the odds on Lord North?
Lord North is at 7-1, 4-1 on Shariar.
Yes.
8-1 on State of Rest.
Yes. Well, yeah. If Bay Bridge is beaten, Lord North will beat him.
Yeah.
If Bay Bridge is beaten. All right. We see the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Prince Charles and Camilla coming into the Royal Ascot. Well, the Royals are coming in. No Queen this year. Queen not feeling so hot these days. All right. Producer says we should go. We're taking too long with this segment. Why not?
Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and to click the notification bell to stay informed.